Hey folks, this is the Fighting Nerd and his co-host Jolly Roger. I've been away for a while. Let's just chalk that up to a series of unfortunate events. First event, well, not unfortunate event, but was the holidays. Just a lot of stuff going on, Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving, all of that stuff. Just didn't get around to making any videos. And then right after that, I got a bad cold, either really bad cold or a relatively minor case of the flu. Take your pick. But didn't feel like making any videos. And just after I kicked that, about 3.5 weeks ago now, I fell down my basement steps, which is why I've got my little improvised cane here, because I still can't walk without it. So that's why I have been away for so long. So I'm going to kick this off by jumping on the I Hate the Last Jedi bandwagon. And as I said, I hate the Last Jedi. Now, this is also going to be kind of a group review of The Force Awakens and Last Jedi because they both sucked mightily. And the biggest problem with these films is not the acting, certainly not the special effects, not even for the most part directing. It is the nonsensical, nearly unfollowable storylines, if you can call them that. Now, The Force Awakens. Question number one. Where the hell did the First Order come from? Where? The Emperor was dead. The Empire was supposed to be smashed. We're going to have a new republic. Yay! 3 movies, right? Okay, then The Force Awakens comes. Can't speak. I'm going to blame my injury. The Force Awakens comes along. And nothing that happened in Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, or Return of the Jedi matters. Or for any of the other prequels. Not only is the First Order bigger and badder than the Empire ever was, but this new republic is barely, is kind of a footnote in the whole story. And it seems completely powerless. And you're not exactly sure what the rebels are rebelling against, since you have the New Republic, which you think would have backed the rebels. Okay, so right there, the entire lattice work for any kind of a sensible story is gone. Because it was never there. And then, there's the nerdy nitpicking stuff, like how the hell, with the planet kit, or with the system killer, or whatever it is, the big gun that destroys solar systems. Answer me, how would you possibly target something as small as a solar system, when we're talking about galactic proportions here, across interstellar distances, and then actually split a light beam to hit planets, which goes along with maybe a whole new video, why Star Wars, the entire franchise, is not science fiction, but it is fantasy disguised as science fiction. So anyway, in The Force Awakens, it pretty much means that all the other movies just don't matter. And Wavia, we're just going to restart everything with new rules. And then let's just not ask ourselves how Leia and Han Solo were so worthless as parents, is that they raised Kylo, or failed to raise, I would dare say, that they became negligent parents. Okay, so, but this is primarily about The Last Jedi. even more stupid. Okay. So, they're searching for Luke Skywalker because the rebels are on the ropes because nothing happened. Nothing that happened in the other movies mattered. And all the explosions and killing and blood and all that just didn't matter. They're on the ropes and they need to find Luke Skywalker to breathe new life into the rebellion. Well, how's that going to work? Because Luke Skywalker in this movie is a whining pussy that's off hiding in a cave, hating himself, instead of taking responsibility for his failures and trying to do something about it. Okay, so there's the chapter of that part of that movie should be Luke is a whiny bitch. Okay, now pretty much the whole plot of this thing, other than the whole Luke Skywalker, and kicking him in the ass and making him feel sorry for himself, is that the Alliance is running away. The Rebel fleet is running away because the First Order is hot on their trail. And just, I would say that the leadership of the Rebel Alliance is just completely incompetent to begin with. How does a guerrilla force, which is what the rebels are, manage to get all of its assets fixed in place, nearly surrounded, if their leadership is competent at all? Just saying. Then, right, the big plan that Leia and that Admiral person that Laura Dern plays decides not to inform any of her senior officers of for some inexplicable reason, is that we're going to sacrifice 99% of our fleet. Because now we know that despite everything in all the other movies, they know that the Empire can track them through hyperspace. So the plan is, since most of our ships are just a wee bit faster than the Imperial ships, and I'd like to know how that is, considering the Rebel fleet is supposed to be this ragtag assemblage of ships. Right? They all happen to be faster than dedicated warships. But the idea is we're going to sacrifice all of them. We're going to run to this old Rebel base, right? Letting ship after ship run out of fuel and be destroyed and a crew slaughtered by the First Order, right? And then with one ship with a few people, we're going to hide in this little Rebel base for our allies to come and save us. That's the great secret plan, folks. Sacrifice the fleet. And a select few of us are going to hide, hoping that allies will come to help. One, who the hell are the allies? Who exactly is that? I mean, make it plain in the movie that the New Republic is gone. They never mentioned any other major power that would have the power to even begin to take on the First Order. I guess a popular uprising of little kids, like the one at the end of the movie that can, force manipulate a broom in their hand. That's what we're going to come saying. The pathetic, that kind of thing was what's going to come save the pathetic remnant of this Rebel Alliance. Okay. And then we have Luke, the self-loathing pussy. And this is really mystifying, right? Oh, he trains Kylo Ren and Kylo Ren goes bad. Seemingly from absentee parents, right? Hey, Luke, train our kid to be our Jedi, and while you're at it, you can just raise him. We don't want, we don't want to be bothered. Make him a Jedi, and we're good. So he goes nuts. Surprise, surprise. A kid taken away from his parents, thrown into Jedi training by a guy who really isn't stable, and trained by a guy who really isn't too stable himself. Knowing that one of his relatives was a really, really, really bad man in Darth Vader. And he goes a little berserk. And Luke decides he has to be destroyed. And that's the last straw. And Luke just says, okay, I'm worthless. I'm going to go hide. And everything I've done to huck things up, hey, sort it out. But then Rey goes there. Now, Rey's an interesting character. She lives on a desert planet, kind of a scavenger, technological scavenger. All right, finds out she used the Forces, and suddenly, finally she has the Force and can use it, and is suddenly good at everything. Right. And she finds Luke and eventually convinces him, yeah, you got to come out and you got to fight the First Order and save the Rebel Alliance. And then she and Chewbacca fly off to save the Rebel Alliance themselves, thinking that Luke isn't going to go. And then Luke, here's another fantastic plan that's almost as good as sacrificing your fleet by running it out of fuel to go hide in a hole, hoping for allies that you pretty much know aren't coming and couldn't help you if they did come and save you. I'm not going to travel to the actual location and face my shortcomings and face responsibility for the things I've done wrong. I'm going to hide on my little planet here and project my force with so much power that it can appear solid over interstellar distances. There's that sci-fi instead of fantasy. I mean, that fantasy instead of sci-fi thing. And then, doing that, I am still going to be able to fight Kylo Ren and hold off a whole bunch of AT-ATs, Imperial Walkers, and kick a lot of ass. Now, ask yourself this, folks. If Luke hadn't been such a pussy and actually went to face Kylo in person and not have to expect all that extra energy to project that power over interstellar distances, how much help could he have actually been? He might have actually been able to kick some ass and save the Alliance. I mean, to a greater degree than the pittance that wound up getting away. This movie was painful to watch. It was so damn stupid. And I can only assume that the people who are going to milk this Star Wars franchise for all the money it's still got in it just don't want to do Star Wars. It's just like with Abrams and his other movies. When he did Star Trek, he didn't want to do Star Trek. He wanted to do Star Wars. So he scrapped 50 years of Star Trek. That's what's happening here. They're going to scrap 30 or 40 years or however many years it's been of Star Wars, so they can make something that is called Star Wars that isn't Star Wars, because they don't want to be saddled by the continuity and the writing that made Star Wars the incredible franchise that it is today. Right. I am done. I am not even going to bother with any of the sequels. I had a glimmer of hope with Rogue One. I like Rogue One, but the thing about Rogue One, it was standalone, and two, it was a classic story that has been told over and over again. It was the Guns of Navarone done Star Wars. An elite military unit hitting a strategic target against overwhelming odds, performing great sacrifice so that a later battle could be fought and real damage could be done to their enemy. That story has been told over and over and over again. It has actually happened in history, and it is classic, and that's why Rogue One worked. And because it told that story and it didn't rewrite all of the other continuity in Star Wars lore. So there it is, folks. I mean, I don't have, except for the visual effects, which were cool, and the acting was okay, and the directing was adequate, but basically, this movie sucked because it was insanely stupid. I mean, it was jaw-droppingly, mind-numbingly stupid. No, that's pretty much all I got to say. Right, again, I apologize for not having a video for so long, but as I said, holidays, illness, and a knee-destroying attack by gravity as I was going down steps. I'm going to try to keep up regular videos from now on, but there it is. But that is my review of The Last Jedi. If they're going to keep making movies like this, it should be the last Star Wars film. Remember, words make history. This is the Fighting Nerd, his co-host Jolly Roger, saying goodbye to you from the Resistance Bunker. And I hope you have a good night.